and Facebook. Oh, welcome everybody. We are live on this lovely Thanksgiving for our American brothers and sisters. It is Thanksgiving. I am sure if you don't know what to be thankful for, don't try and force it if you can't think of anything. Just sit there for a while, you know, and you'll begin to see many reasons that we're thankful. But remember this: gratitude and thanks flow out of you naturally. They just do. We never have to force. I'm going to say this again. We never have to force not one single thing. We've been taught to force, we've been taught to do it. Today's topic is the anchor, because I mentioned it briefly yesterday. Remember, I keep telling you guys, we don't always have to be happy, because I think that's the misconception. I was reading somebody's post, and they said, "That's it. They've had it with the law. They're tired of people trying to tell them that the law doesn't exist and it isn't real, and they're just throwing in the towel because it doesn't matter what they do, nothing changes." And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, what law are you trying to prove to people? See, we may get caught up in that sometimes, even with ourselves. This is why I tell us all the time, there's an anchor, and that is what the law is. We don't have to force it. We observe the law. We observe the law. They're like, well, these people keep saying that it doesn't work. It isn't real. It's just a bunch of hula hoo. And I'm like, well, if you go outside and plant something, what are you gonna get? They're like, well, I'll get what I planted. I'm like, They're like, that's not a law. I said, oh. I'm like, it isn't? I'm like, yes, it is. Oh, but that's just common sense. I said, that's the point. You see, the law happens naturally, right? It happens naturally. It doesn't take you wringing of the hands, hitting your head against the wall. It doesn't do any of that. Not a lick of it. It happens naturally. You know, when people say, well, that would have happened anyway. Well, duh. That's how the law works. It happens naturally so that we don't have to force things. That's the point. We think that, I'll give this example. We think that cesareans are part of the norm. And we say sometimes, but Angela, what if there are complications? Every cause has an effect, and every effect has its cause. Because it has become prevalent does not make it natural, does not make it normal. It's just a thing that we have adapted ourselves to do. This is why when something happens, it just happens naturally, like, oh, it couldn't have happened any other way. That's what I mean when I say that when the law unfolds, it happens naturally. But as people, we keep looking for the complex. We keep looking for where there's a problem and what has now become this way we do things. Well, that's just the way it is. No, that's the way we were taught that it should be. But things happen naturally. Every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. That's going to be natural. You know, if you jump up, well, naturally, your feet are going to have to come back to the ground. Naturally, right? This is why people don't quote unquote believe in the law because they think, well, it's common sense. It should just happen anyway. There's a reason for that. That is the natural flow of things. That's the natural unfolding of the law. Just like when sperm meets egg, the natural outcome is new offspring. It just happens naturally. It is natural law. It is governed by that law that seems to be invisible, yet it is very visible, right? So then I say to you that we don't always have to be happy. We don't always have to be, yay, woohoo. We don't always have to be that because that would be unnatural. There is an ebb and there is a flow. That is why something rests and it awakens. It is natural for us to sleep and then wake up. It's natural. It happens naturally. So when you're going through the day and something happens, look at it and you'll see that it happened. Oh, snap. Well, yeah, that would have happened anyway. Oh, my goodness. It happened naturally. And so when we keep hearing all the time, well, you got to be happy. You got to be this. You got to be that. No. Follow the law. This is why you don't have to force anything. This is why we don't have to have a technique because we are naturally manifesting every experience that we go through.
But you know what? I think a lot of people confuse positivity and happiness. You know what I mean? Because you can remain positive without, it has nothing to do with being happy. Positivity is a state. Happiness is an emotion.
You are absolutely correct, Marquise. They confuse those two things rather frequently simply because we don't take the time to observe, right? You see how emotions happen naturally, right? Where we can go from happy, sad, angry, copacetic, bored, right? Like they just, you don't care, as they say in French, comme c'est comme ça. You know, eh, it flows naturally. But because we've spent so much time being ruled by emotions, we think that that's technically how we should be, when in actuality, we observe the emotion is the effect. It's always by way of law. And so we give into those things so easily because we don't spend enough time in observation, just watching. When was the last time you went for a walk and just heard the birds? I was in a room yesterday, and this young man, he's in New Zealand, and every time he came off his mic, all you could hear was tweet, 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 tweet. That's all you could hear was the birds. And you're like, wait, what? This is really cool. And he's just sitting there naturally listening to the birds. And I'm like, wait, can you just stay off your mic? Like, I want to hear the birds too. Naturally, the observation is that they are always singing about something. And if you listen to them, because we're bird watchers here, if you listen to birds, they sing the same song at the same intonation every time. They don't change their song. That's how come you can recognize which bird is singing. But we don't sit enough to observe. Like when you hear the rustling of the leaves in the trees, we don't sit and hear that. But that's by design again. Because if we spent time doing that, we would recognize that there is a rhythm to life, which is law. People say, well, man, you're going to have a high tide anyway. And I'm like, yes, but that high tide is predictable. It is habitual. That is law. That's why we are creatures of habit, because by law we must be creatures of habit. Habits streamline things, make them easy to predict, and you can plan according to the habit. But they say, well, but that would have happened anyway. And I'm like, that's law. It just happens anyway in the background. It's not obvious, but it is. So that's why I titled it The Anchor. If we are anchored in the law itself, you say to yourself, I say to myself, well, look, if I plant this thing, I have to reap this thing. I want an oak tree, I can only plant one seed, acorn. Naturally, I can only plant that. But if we would use that simplicity and use the law of correspondence, well, as above, so below. If I'm going to plant that to get this, I don't have to pray and fast for it. I don't have to be naked in the moonlight. I don't have to do any of that, right? All I have to do is say, wait, here's what I want to experience. So I'm going to do this.
But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
The law creates
Yes.
a positive disposition, right? And a positive disposition is a positive outlook. And the reason why it brings a positive outlook to humanity is because we're no longer living off bread alone. We're no longer living out of material existence. We are now back closer to our origin, which is the I am vibration, which is a child of God, which is one with the Father. And in humanity, you need that stabilization because the world will continue to thrust its images on you, tell you this is what you are. You're a man, you're a woman, you're black, you're white. And all of those things are very depressing when you're one with the Father.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm glad you brought that up because now you begin to realize why humanity is kept in a particular state. A state of constant worry, a state of constant fear, a state of constant, sometimes there's boredom too, a state of constant anger. Do you see now why? Because if you took your attention away from those things, listen, when I say observe, this is what I'm talking about. We live, as Neville calls it, in the land of Caesar. And Caesar always has his hand out saying, I'll take that. Oh, I'll take that. Oh, I'll take that. Caesar always wants what you have. This is the world we live in. But if we apply the law, we never have to worry about what we give to Caesar because we create what we need to give to Caesar so that when Caesar comes, listen, we don't even have to wait for Caesar. We already give Caesar what is his due because we know that is inevitable. It is natural from where we are. So we just give Caesar what it is due and we don't argue, we don't fret, we don't feel bad about it. You know why? Because we're not living for Caesar. You see, the anchor that is the law daily reminds us things happen naturally. So when we say, oh my God, I'm hungry, well, then what's the natural thing to do? Eat. That's the natural flow of things. It is law. But Caesar has come along and says, well, if you eat this, you're a heathen. If you eat that, you're a bad person. If you do this, you're a bad person. So now we no longer eat from a state of, oh, my stomach, rawr. We don't eat from there. We now eat sometimes from a state of where? Guilt. Or a state of, I'm better than you. But we no longer eat from a place of where is law or natural. So when you anchor yourself to the law, we live in the world because we have physical bodies, but mentally we don't live what? We're not of it. We are of our imaginations. That's where we are. But again, look at what happened to us. Oh, stop daydreaming. Oh, stop pretending. Oh, stop Making believe. You're not a child anymore. That's what we
It
hear.
almost sounds like the people who aren't able to utilize this, they were mad. Like, hey, what are y'all doing using our minds? No, that stuff doesn't work. What are you doing living in your imagination, creating your reality? Why don't you knock all this stuff off?
You see? I'm glad you said that too, Marquise, because it is by design. When you look around, yes, you will find what we call rituals. You will find doing a particular thing to bring about something. In other words, the ritual forces you to remove your attention from I am and put it into a thing, a graven image, an idol. When we forget that it is us who is the operant power, then we transfer our power to something else. So when you observe that, you begin to understand or comprehend that the thing that has forgotten how to use its imagination needed to come up with a way. But what they don't understand is you can't live outside the law, even though they may perform a ritual, right? Of longevity, of immortality. Here they tell you they want to live forever, but you already live forever. I am is immortal. So you see, you don't have to force yourself to live forever. You want a healthy body, learn that your body submits to you and don't fight against it. It wants to submit to you. So talk to it. You're in it. Naturally, that's what happens. But what do you hear? Oh my God, you talk to yourself? You're nuts. Only accountants talk to themselves. And then if you answer, you know what they say? You're insane. Naturally, we speak to ourselves. Why? Because it is how we infuse ourselves with the power to move. That power comes from I am that's within us, our anchor. But all these things that are going on the outside have caused us to take our attention away from I am. Where is you? Where is me? That's our power. And strategically, that attention was removed from within so that we are now what? Weakened. Why would you want to weaken humanity? I don't know. Let that hang in the air for a minute. The point of the matter is this: keep your attention on the inside. I am, because you are creating it. If you do not know that you are creating it, because a lot of people say, well, manifestation doesn't work. That's a bunch of hogwash. Because manifestation has been reduced to I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, but my life sucks. We have reduced manifestation to a thing. We've reduced manifestation to some kind of an idol, when in actuality, manifestation happens naturally by way of law. So if we keep our attention focused inward, that's where we're going to live from. But if you don't know how to do that deliberately, go inside anyway and say, okay, I don't know how to do this. I heard if I plant this mental seed and I nurture this mental seed, it'll become what I want it to become in my world. Now, where do I have evidence of planting seeds and having them become the thing? That's right, in my garden. So help me. Help me to plant these mental seeds. Show me how to do that. What do you think is going to happen to you? Oh, by some strange miracle, you're going to be shown what to do. What? Naturally, you will be shown what to do. You see, we have given our power of creating things over to something on the outside. so that then we now begin to go and do all of these things. We go to astrology, we go to this, we go to that. Uh, those things happen naturally, right? And all we do is observe them, and we use the law of correspondence. And if we look at the nature of a thing, we can help ourselves understand our own nature and then act accordingly. That's what we do. But no, we've given our attention over to, I gotta have this. So if I do this thing, I'm gonna speed it up. And this is why we lose patience and we rush and we hurry. But what does Daddy say? Rush the brush, waste the paint. So today, your anchor, you understand, is the law. We keep hearing that things happen with ease and without effort, that's where we should be. But why should we be there? Because if we observe what happens around us, we will see that it happens naturally. See, when I was in Lama's class, they showed this video of these Amazonian women. They lived in the Amazon jungle. Listen, I have never seen such things in my life. These women would squat in labor. They're in labor, yeah, and they just squat. They don't really make any noise, they just squat. And you just watch labor progress. And then all of a sudden, the baby just pops right out and slides across the space. And you're like, what the hell? What do you mean that's how it's supposed to be? Because they recognized nature itself. They watched their animals. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have complications, because sometimes things, cause and effect. What if the cord's around the baby's neck? We don't know, because we don't see the intricate workings on the inside. We don't see it. But as a whole, they went through labor with ease. When I say ease, I'm not telling you it wasn't painful, because that'd be a lie. Right? It hurts like a what? But that video showed us, if we allowed ourselves to be natural, then we'd reduce the amount of complications we had in the world. I'm not telling you that science doesn't have a place, because it does. Science is the observation of nature itself and learning how she works. That's what science is. We're just observing. That's why they put the little probe on your skull to read your brain waves. What they're not telling you what your brain waves are. They're observing what your brain waves become when your mood changes. So science is the observation of the law at work. That's all science is. It's the observation of law at work. So we, however, have been convinced that what is natural is meh. It's nothing really. It would have happened anyway. Angela.
I'm sorry, I just have to say, preach, Angela. I'm gonna download the last three YouTube videos of this past 3 days.
But you see, that's why I can tell you that Thanksgiving comes naturally to you. You know that when you just did something like, oh, thank goodness. You see, I also mentioned this yesterday. Regardless of your quote unquote religion, what do we naturally know? Naturally, we know that, as Marion Williams said, somebody bigger, somebody bigger. She said it. There's somebody or something that is bigger that makes this whole thing happen. I'm not even talking about extraterrestrial beings, because they could not be had it not been for the law. They're created as well. Don't get it twisted. So when you say that there's something greater, you know that it wasn't just some kind of a random willy-nilly thing. We are here cause and effect. We are the effect of a cause. And you know what we know by way of our naturalness? We know there's a cause, but we just don't know what to call the cause. So that's why we argue, because we don't know what the cause is, but we know there is a cause. That's why we're here. So Instead of arguing over what to call the cause, recognize that there is one and go with that. You see how much peace would be there now if that's what we did? Now you understand what the anchor is. The anchor is the observation that if we say to ourselves, wait a minute, something is powering this. I wonder what that is. This is why Neville Goddard can tell you it's okay that you want things because we live in this world. Because we must have things in this world: food, shelter, clothing, and we want that to be luxurious. And that's all right. No shade, baby. Have it. But he's telling you, you know there's something greater. And he's telling you, well, then follow that curiosity. That's your anchor, that observation. Follow it. There's something greater. You don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it, but we've been told what it should be called. And that's what has corrupted us. Trying to out argue the other person that, no, that's what you call it. That's what you call it. This is what you call it. That's ritual. This ritual. Then naturally, you're going to give thanks anyway. Because within you, you recognize, you observe something naturally. Go with the thing that you observe naturally, and you will create naturally. Do you think you'll have to pretend, well, I don't know how to have faith? Faith is natural to you. So that's why I'm saying today, your naturalness is by way of law. That's why we want to call it nature's law. Nature, natural, well, I wonder how that word, the etymology, could come about for it. You see, we don't have to fret. We don't have to perform rituals and rites of passage. Those are man made. But if we would go within and observe what happens within us naturally, we would comprehend it, and that's where we would live from. So that all the things required to make, food, shelter, clothing, and living in this world simpler, we do them naturally. There wouldn't be homelessness, there wouldn't be greed, there wouldn't be any of it, because we would recognize that we're all capable. There'd be no jealousy because we'd recognize that we're all capable. So then what could you say that those things are a result of? The forgetting. So then, remember who you are. Remember what you are. I am. That's why I tell you the law is your anchor, because it happens naturally. And you're safe. You truly are. You're at peace. You truly are. That's what I'm saying to you. You don't have to go to Thanksgiving dinner to recognize that you should be thankful. You mean I got to remind you? No, I don't have to remind you, because it happens naturally for you. So as you are with your friends and family today, even if it may be the ones, man, I can't stand you, but I'll tolerate you today. Listen, even if it may be that, even if you are alone for Thanksgiving, I want you to go within and remember something. These arguments that happen within our families, they happen because we have forgotten who we are. So if you remember who you are, well, then get into your imagination and wish for your family. When I say wish, what do I mean? See them as remembering. That will bridge the gap and do what? It will cause a reconciliation. And I can hear it now. Angela, I understand where you're coming from. I know you love us, but sometimes reconciliation is not possible. It's okay that you feel that way. Don't seek the reconciliation then. Simply create reconciliation in your mind. Because you reconcile with someone, it doesn't mean you have to be in the same space as them. What you're doing with the reconciliation is returning yourself to your natural state. And sooner or later, everybody returns to that natural state of remembering. So set yourself free. I'm not just talking to you, because I am the one with a stepmother. So I am well aware of how these things are with not seeing eye to eye. Oh, I am well aware. Believe me. Every day, every day I gotta get up and say, Lord, love my neighbors, I love myself. So today, be encouraged on this lovely Thanksgiving Day. When you are in the presence of your family, unconditional love comes naturally to you. Oh, yes, it does. Somebody just did something that pissed you off. That's all. See, cause, effect. But you are the state of unconditional love already. So why not poke at unconditional love and say, if that's my natural state, I want to feel it. I want to feel it. I want to walk in a state of unconditional love. And lo and behold, by way of magic? No, by way of law. I am that is within you will show you how to be unconditional. And no, it's not going to drag you over the coals to show you pain and suffering so you understand unconditional love. That's not how it works. If you expect that that's how you have to learn, well, then you're going to have to learn that way. So why not expect ease and effortlessness? Because that is the way it should happen. So that is your encouragement today. Remember who and what you are. You are what? I am. How many times a day do you say that? How many times a day do you call the Lord's name in vain? I mean, you say, I am, and then you put something else after it. They'll put the good thing after it. Right? I am what? I am. I just am. That's how we go through it. We practice it and we test it out so that when you call those things that are not as though they were, they become. And you don't have to fret, when is it going to be here? Because you know naturally, once you plant the seed, it grows and you reap the harvest. Period. Anywho, that's what I wanted to tell you on this lovely Thanksgiving Day. That these things come naturally to you. They just do. So stop fighting against the current of life and just allow yourself to flow with it. Why? Because you're anchored. You think you're going to be tossed to and fro by life? Nah. You got a beautiful ship you're on. The law. The law. Yeah. You're on a beautiful ship. Your own personal yacht of the law. You're not just out there. It's only because we have forgotten. That's why.
No, I tell you what, it's beautiful. It's indestructible. It's unimplodable. I mean, it's dynamic. I'm running into icebergs and everything, and I'm just crushing them. And man, don't get me started.
See, I'm glad Marquis said that. I'm glad he did. Because it is a reminder to us that you have the power to overcome it all. Remember that. The world is not your enemy. It is not a place to break you. Remember, all things work together for good, for good. It is only because we have forgotten. But when you remember, don't you remember you told me you loved me? Oh, sorry, I couldn't help myself. I heard the word remember, and then it just came out of my mouth. Oh my God. Somebody's got problems. I don't know, but just even if you feel like I am nuts and I'm telling you crazy things, what have you to gain by sitting there for a moment and saying, look, I don't know, she might be crazy, but I just I just want to test it out. I keep hearing if I ask, I'll receive. If I seek, I'll find. If I knock, the door will be open. I keep hearing that my whole life. Well, I'm asking this and ask the question. And when you decide to slide into my DMs and tell me that you got the answer, I'm not here to gloat and tell you told you so. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw some confetti. So make sure your mouth is shut when I throw the confetti so that you don't swallow the confetti. Firsthand, I learned that, but I digress. Let
But you know what? In the root word of insanity is sanitation. That's why it's asked, create a clean heart. Because when this clean heart is when you return to your first nature, not your second nature, your first nature, which is a child of God, being one with the Father. And when you operate from that frequency, there is nothing that you can't attain. There's nothing that I am can attain. Maybe the human mind cannot conceptualize nor contain nor attain, but the mind can do all because the mind is all.
I wish I had a sound effect for that. Because it is awesome. It is so true. You see, but we were taught to be afraid of I am. Yeah, but what if I hear something? What if something tells me to go out there and hurt somebody? You think I am deals in that? Hmm? You see what I mean by we were taught to fear I am? Well, don't listen. It's not every voice that you hear you should listen to. I'm not saying that you shouldn't or that you should. What I'm saying to you is go within and learn the voice of I am so that if there is a subtle change in I am, you will know because you know who you are and you're not easily deceived. That's what I'm saying to you. Once you know I am, man, nothing can come along and move you because you're anchored. That's what I want to tell you today. I love you guys. I do. I was in the Made in Memphis, that room yesterday on Fanbase, and they were talking about if they were going to deep fry their turkey or if they were going to bake it. And I was like, deep fry? I'm like, that's a lot of oil. That's a lot of hot oil. And I'm like, that scares me a little bit. But that's why I'm bringing it back to Thanksgiving for you guys today. How you going to do the turkey? Listen, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself and have a good time. And I said, even if you're alone, if you know somebody that's alone for Thanksgiving, call them or take them a plate. You know somebody that's working for Thanksgiving, take them a plate. Listen, just love your neighbor as you would love yourself. Just be kindness is natural. Kindness is natural because that's our natural state of being. So that's what I'm going to tell you today. Let's welcome everyone because I'm not going to keep you because y'all got to go and get together. You know, hey, Tonyo, I see you, baby, on Twitter. I see you. Much love and happy Thanksgiving. You may be in the U.S. I don't know. But much love to you. YouTube and Facebook, Indies on Facebook, YouTube. Hey, take some, leave some. Joaquin, Asonia, Sugar Visions. And for the ones who've not made themselves known in the chat, I see you. I see you. Fanbase, who's here? Hey, Flow Smiles, ever present. Afternoon Delight, I see you. Miss Cherry, Comrade, and Jeannie. Hello. I gotta say it the way I love it because James is my favorite name because of James Bond. James. James Bond. That's I see you, James. I love saying the name James.
Great thing. Love, love, love.
Yes. Stephanie, Casey, Marquise, Oracle Treehouse, Miss McQueen, and Zola. Thank you all for being here on this lovely day. And I know you didn't have to wake up this early. I know you didn't, but I love you for it. You could have caught the replay, but again, I love you for it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the love. Fan base people will know what that is. And so will the rest of you, because you do give love by being here every day. I appreciate you. And just remember, you are this most beautiful creation. I am. Go within there. Poke around at it a little bit. Get to know it. Well, it's you. So can't run from yourself your whole life. So you may as well stop running and turn within and say, hey, here I am. Here I am, baby. Sorry. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to get the ball. So you guys.
Angela,
Yes.
I was like, I just have a comment for everyone on all of the platforms that's here today, this morning. I'm like, probably everyone that's here are the people who did not have to cook today. Except for you, because I know you're in Canada.
Tanya is cracking up because she just gave me the smile emoji because she's like, you're right. You don't have to cook today if you're here. But look, there's always a way to assist. You know, like this is just what it is. If we would take that little snippet of time and just go within ourselves, we will learn much. We truly, truly will. And when we do learn it, you'll realize you're going to get out your foghorn and you'll be like, come hear the good news I got to tell you. Now you'll be one of the crazies. Because you want to share it.
I'm just eating today, but my wife cooked yesterday evening, so
right.
The food is already ready. I have no wait time. I have manifested this instantaneous eating.
But that's how you should do it.
You manifested her to do all the cooking.
Hey, listen, I'm an eater.
There you go, right?
Manifesting this reality.
There you have it. See? And that's the thing. Just use this time to love on each other. Because it is the easiest thing, and if you notice, it is the most natural thing in the world to love one another. I'm being very real with you now. That is the easiest thing to do, you know. It takes the least amount of energy to love one another. But you see, dislike and hate and anger and rage, woo, child, that's a lot of energy. But I digress. Let me get the bowl so we don't have to wait any longer, and then we go and hang out with our friends and family. Down. Initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tonyo, thank you for being here on Twitter. Much love to you, my beautiful friend. Much love to you. Be blessed. Twitter is closed. YouTube, to answer you take some, leave some? Yes, simply saying I am as you meditate without any condition. Just I am. That is the best thing you can do. Right like that. So there. A take some, leave some. Joaquin, Sonia, Sugar Visions. I didn't see the better man this morning. Anyhow, I love you all. And Facebook, I will see you tonight. If you're still awake, I'll see you tonight. We're gonna walk on water. That's the lecture from Neville Goddard tonight. And yes, I will see you. Much love to you, YouTube and Facebook.